Hello and welcome friends to a new episode of our narrative-driven Total War Warhammer 3 campaign playing as the modded Slaanesh faction, the Sect of Akhalee. Now to recap what happened in the last episode, we started our conquest of Ind and we're well on our way to nearly taking that over and also Khuresh. What stands in our way though is the modded faction of the Guests of the Raja, which are a modded Empire faction, and they are putting up a pretty strong resistance because they do hold at least half of Ind. Actually, I take that back, at least 2/3 of Ind, but we do have headway in terms of building up our warband, and also we do have a vassal under our command, a very powerful vassal, mind you, known as the Corsairs of Spite, which are a modded Dark Elf faction with their very own legendary lord, but they are not helping us out in this battle. It's just our main army and our devotee army at the moment. Now I will leave the link to the main mod in the pinned comment and also the description of the video, but also I will leave links to other mods that enhance Slaanesh gameplay and also really make the faction overpowered, such as the Keep Seduce Units mod and also stealing faction leaders. So with those two mods, it's basically what it sounds like. Being able to steal faction leaders means you can have legendary lords command your armies, like I plan to do when we eventually encounter Malus Darkblade and also hopefully Morathi along the way too. I really want this to be a thematic campaign, so having those legendary lords under our command with this cult of Akhalee would be really fun to build the faction around, but also the Keep Seduce Units mod is going to be one of my personal favorites too. It's what it sounds like. You can see here with my main army under Mahaduva, we do have a Bretonnian trebuchet, Empire cannons, and also some Dark Elf archers, and also some Empire archers too. Now, those are going to be very integral in terms of building our warband around, and it does fill the gaps of Slaanesh, or their weaknesses I should say, of having little to no range. I don't think they have any range in the vanilla game, and also having no artillery whatsoever. And yes, I do know Slaanesh is mainly supposed to be used as a rush faction and arguably one of the best cavalry factions in the game. Do let me know in the comments, everyone, if you think Slaanesh or Bretonnia or another faction has the best cavalry. But with that out of the way, I do plan on collecting more trophies, not just for this army, but I want to build a second army to command as well, and also to mainly govern and hold my territories. But in terms of our collection, I definitely want to collect certain leaders, or faction leaders I should say, to add to our faction, but also some troops like this one, the Ersa Solder. Sorry if I messed that name up, but essentially they're bayonet rifle infantry. Some of the abilities they have are going to be really useful too, like deploying stakes, essentially being able to stop those cavalry charges. I think you can actually do that in old Total War games as well, which, to be honest, I would be very much open to playing those kinds of games on my channel. But also, I do know that I'm mainly known for Baldur's Gate and Warhammer 3. Do also let me know if all of you in the comments, my regular and returning viewers, would love to see that kind of Let's Play campaign in the future. But also taking a look at some of the other abilities here. Sorry, I am playing with a bunch of mods, so some things may be a little bit laggy. But the bayonet charge, that basically makes them very versatile in terms of firing off a volley, but then also being able to actually hold their own in melee. So I will definitely seduce those units to our side. And this is an ambush battle, so we are absolutely going to mollywop them. And yes, I could potentially just auto-resolve this, but I do want this to be a cinematic battle for all of you to enjoy, so I will fight it manually. I don't think it really matters with the banner of Eternal Flame, which one we put that on, but let's just throw this... Would be interesting to give our cannons fire damage. We will be getting reinforcements from our devotee army as well. And yeah, I do love the unit card designs for this Empire faction just because they are based off ancient Indian designs as well. Some of them. I think this unit, if I remember correctly, is added by either Guns of the Empire mod or potentially the Sons of Sigmar mod. I will have to check in the comments, but do let me know for some of the other people in the community who play with mods which specific Empire faction mod this unit is added in. But with that out of the way, let's go and fight the battle manually, and it's going to be an absolute slugfest. Well, not slugfest, but absolute devastation. Alright, my friends, welcome to the order of battle, and even though this is an ambush battle, we are not going to spring the ambush just yet, but I am going to admire the look of some of these units, like these Ersa soldiers and also archers. And it's not just the typical archers of the Empire, but these are decked out in military gear that's more like a Royal Indian military, if that makes sense. But also these bayonets look absolutely sick. I am actually, like I mentioned before too, tempted to play some of the older Total War titles in terms of modded playthroughs and also having narrative campaigns based off of them, but our main army is being held back at the ambush point over here. Dark Shards holding the line there, but also we will be using our frontline units to make a flank on the left here. I am holding certain units in reserve, like our devoted Rajput warriors. And also, let's see here, if I can pronounce this right, Dual Qatar warriors. I'm going to hold them back in terms of protecting our artillery units, and also I will be using Mahaduva to launch attacks and try to provoke them to come charging at us. But also our main front line will be our devotee army, which should arrive in just over a minute. But I am also holding some of our cavalry units, like, let's see here, sadistic seducers and also fiends of Slaanesh. Now, I'm also using a mod that grants different bonuses in terms of creating customized regiments of renown to certain units if they perform insanely well during battles, but it is very randomized and an RNG kind of mod as well. Absolutely love the look of these seducers, and some of the units for Slaanesh's army with this specific faction really take on elements of Southeast Asian and ancient Indian army looks as well. And yeah, this is arguably one of my favorite mods. I think I might do a standalone video on some of my top favorite faction mods and make a series out of that. Do let me know in the comments if that's something that you would like to see, but I have been rambling on for quite a while, so let's start the battle here. And I wonder if they're going to... Okay, it doesn't look like they know they're in an ambush yet. And yeah, this mod is... Well, this modded faction is from Chaos Robbie's Immortal Empires Expanded. It would be really cool if we could get a legendary lord for the Guests of the Raja, although that kind of campaign going up against the Corsairs of Spite and also the Sect of Akhalee, plus also there's some potentially hostile enemies in the area too. I don't remember the names right off the top of my head, but there's an Ogre Kingdom. You might have an ally with a modded Dwarven faction too. That Dwarven faction does have its own legendary lord, but if there's a chance for there to be for this to be an actual legendary modded faction, I would probably do playthroughs on it. All right, let's see. How's our reinforcements coming along? Okay, just about a few more seconds, and then are they in range just yet? All right, they're about to be. Keep these guys on fire at will. Alright, and because this is a devotee army, I'm not going to be too worried in terms of casualties. Alright, and then we'll just send them straight into the field to ravage the Empire's forces. Okay. Looks like they're about to be fired upon now. Yep, and the ambush is sprung, my friends. opening volleys and salvos from our trebuchets and our cannons. Okay, looks like their ranged forces are near isolated, so we'll send in our cavalry to try to get an initial charge on them. Alright, Mahaduva, I do want you charging in as well as... Actually, let's hold you in reserve. Okay, how's the rest of our army? Ooh, okay, our devotee forces are a little bit delayed and behind schedule. Alright, absolute devastating charge from our Fiends of Slaanesh. Alright, looks like our sadistic seducers are in the mix there. Or about to be. Okay, focus on those archers. Okay, they are about to close the distance on us, so I think I'll send our troops in to try to delay them. Alright, Mahaduva, let's actually have you charge in. Alright, good whip off there. Alright, and then let's have the rest of our cavalry. Okay, let's have you guys charge in, take out the rest of their remaining army. Alright, even if some of our main front lines do get devastated in this battle, we do have our devotee army to help us take their capital, which I will be moving on to next. Yeah, and the Empire is absolutely getting mollywopped here. Very good charge in from our cavalry units. Alright, let's get a follow-up charge going. And I absolutely love these insane animations from Mahaduva. Yeah, just a giant arm popping out of the ground. Alright, let's buff our cavalry there. More initial charge. Onto these great swords here. Oh, these poor Empire great swords. Yeah, it's an amalgamation. This is definitely how Slaanesh plays overall in terms of it just coming in and getting a charge off before the enemy knows what hits them. I guess also it very much helps that we have cannons just raining fire down casually. Alright, we'll end that. It's not just a decisive victory, it was pretty much, if it's like an equivalent, not really the equivalent of that one ambush in 40k. Alright, taking a look at the post-battle stats, in terms of our casualties, it was mostly just frontline units from both our devotees and also our main army, and also pretty much the loss of their entire army too. Now, I'm hoping that with this battle that we completely wipe them off the face of the earth, because that's going to make the siege of their capital that much more easier for us. But also, if they somehow survive and retreat to their capital, then they're going to have diminished forces, and it also looks like they have very little range units surviving as well. Part of me thinks I should have continued the battle instead of just ending it and actually gone after their ranged units, but we'll see how that pans out in the next upcoming siege. And also, regardless if you're a new or returning viewer, please do let me know in the comments if there are some things that you would love to see me improve upon, like my battle strategies, even down to minor things like my commentary, or specifically some of the battle shots that I try to capture. I do know that since I'm playing in real time, it's a little bit difficult to focus on precise movements and positioning while also capturing those cinematic moments, but like I said at the beginning of the video, I do want this to be an entertaining cinematic narrative for you all to enjoy, even if it's just a Let's Play. I know Let's Plays aren't necessarily the best way to grow a channel, but also this is something that I love to do in terms of making series for, and also ironically, I have been getting some subscribers that really love listening or watching these narrative campaigns. And really, any feedback, good or bad, is very much appreciated.